Regret is sometimes difficult to overcome. Although Chosen Taguchi said this in reference to the 30+ years of him trying to redeem himself, this can also be applied to Robby Keene, a misguided student who hasn't had that mentor he needs to set him on the right path. From what we saw at the end of Season 3, it was speculated that it may be a long while before he was redeemed, or he may just be set in his ways, but it seems that he's changed his ways for the better. This is why there is hope for Robby. Let's talk about the influence of Cobra Kai, the path to redemption, what's in store for him in the future, and more. It goes without saying that there are spoilers in this video. If you haven't seen Season 4 yet, don't watch this video. And before we get started, I wanted to give a shout out to Pascal Aka and Ralph Awad for allowing me to use their music in this video. You guys may know Pascal already from my previous videos for his wonderful interpretations of the Cobra Kai themes and motifs, and Ralph's music has been used in my Season 3 Robby video. Do me a favor and please subscribe to their channels. Let's recap on what we know about Robby so far. Since this is a continuation of my previous video, Why There Was No Hope for Robby, I'm only going to talk about the events that are relevant to Robby's arc in Season 4. Feel free to skip to the next chapter to avoid the recap, but be warned, you may miss important details that we'll talk about in the later part of the video. After fighting his dad in the locker during December 19th, Robby refuses to fully join Cobra Kai after Kreese attempts to sway him. With the dojo furious at the fact that he didn't join them in the raid on the house party, Tori tells Robby that he needs to find another dojo if he's going to stay on defense. At the skate park, Sam attempts to reconcile with Robby, but because of the earlier conversation he had with Tori and still being upset at his father and Mr. LaRusso, Robby tells Sam she isn't going to get what she wants. While Kreese is on his way back from speaking with Terry Silver, Robby attempts to warm up the class but is told to leave. Promising to leave if someone can land a hit on him, he proceeds to clean house using Miyagi-Do and take out everyone until Tori lands a hit. After being asked to stay, Robby proceeds to begin to teach Miyagi-Do to Cobra Kai so they can have another tool in their arsenal for the All Valley. One day, Robby is sought out by a boy named Kenny Payne, the younger brother of Sean, someone who gave him a rough time in juvie. Although the tryout goes south quickly, Robby visits Kenny's house to give him his backpack he left behind. He finds out that Sean was sent to juvie because Kenny caught one of his friends stealing from their parents. Realizing that Kenny is being bullied, he offers to teach him some self-defense using concepts from both Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai. Robby also inspires Kenny to use his speed to attack his opponents instead of running away. Kreese gives Kenny another chance to try out, and while failing again at first, Kenny strikes first, with Kreese acknowledging that Robby found Cobra Kai material and gives Kenny a spot on the team. Robby hears that according to Kenny, Hawk and others are bullying him, prompting the gang to reflect on revenge. Before that can happen, they are introduced to a new sensei, Terry Silver, who goes on to tell Robby to confront his fear so he can fully use his anger as a weapon. This conversation inspires Robby to confront Johnny to get his dojo to back off, or there will be payback. Robby proceeds to end the conversation by saying he is better than Johnny and is only using Cobra Kai to get what he wants. Later that night at the drive-in, Robby attempts to stop what he perceives Hawk to be bullying Kenny, leading to a standoff between Cobra Kai and Miyagi Fang. The fight is avoided as Cobra Kai is tricked into standing on the baseball diamond at the time the sprinklers turn on to wet the field. Robby swears revenge, and after Silver teaches class, Robby leads the gang to corner Hawk at the tattoo parlor, shattering his confidence by cutting his hair. As Cobra Kai starts to get new equipment in, Daniel attempts to warn Robby about Silver, but Silver intervenes before the conversation can continue any further. Learning that Kenny is still being tormented at school and wants to seek revenge, Robby warns Kenny to avoid going down the path he and Sean are on. During class that day, Robby and Kenny are picked to spar against each other. Because Robby is showing compassion and still sees Kenny as his friend instead of his opponent, Robby is caught off guard and loses. Silver overhears Tori asking Robby to prom to throw Sam and Miguel off balance and offers to fund their trip, while also trying to pay off Shannon so he can look after Robby. Although they dance together to throw their rivals off balance, they soon develop a genuine connection due to both sharing a desire to win at the All Valley to have it mean something. While attending Stingray's after party, Robby intervenes after Sam attacks Tori. Because they are more in sync and balanced, Robby and Tori are able to overpower and defeat Sam and Miguel. Before the tournament and to end their prom night, Robby and Tori share their first kiss. Silver's influence starts to creep in as Robby, Tori, and Kyler help Cobra Kai win the skills division. Before his quarterfinals match with Kenny, Daniel confronts Robby after realizing he taught Cobra Kai Miyagi-Do techniques. Robby insists that he will use whatever way to win, resulting in Daniel to respond, "Never put passion in front of principle, because even if you win, you lose." After losing a point to Kenny, Kreese reminds Robby that he's fighting his opponent. Robby then dominates and scores all 3 points back to back, winning the match and giving Kenny a bloody nose. Robby is shaken after the match, realizing what he did. After defeating Dimitri in the semifinals, Robby looks for Kenny and intervenes when he sees him beating up Anthony. Robby realizes Anthony LaRusso is Kenny's bully and scolds Kenny for going against his training, but Kenny responds with no mercy and walks away. Facing Eli in the finals, Robby quickly scores a point, but the score is tied when Eli switches styles. Going into sudden death, Robby almost manages to score the point, but is thrown off balance when he sees Kenny is being fully corrupted by Cobra Kai. After a lengthy fight, Eli wins the championship match and Robby goes for a walk to clear his head. Coming in back in time to watch Tori fight, he celebrates with the team as Cobra Kai wins the grand championship. However, Robby leaves early and follows Johnny to the dojo. He confides in his father that he failed Kenny and thought he could use his hate, but realizes he's on the wrong path. Johnny admits that it's his fault, but Robby simply doesn't want to blame his father anymore, and they finally embrace. Johnny assures Robby that they will figure it out. Before we can talk about his redemption, let's first look at the influence of Cobra Kai and how it affected Robby. During the beginning of the season, despite not wanting to get involved as a pawn, it still happened slowly over time. It is both Tori and Sam who ironically push him towards Cobra Kai, with Tori reminding him that he's still hiding who he is and defending Sam, and Sam pushes him further away from Miyagi-Do as he refuses to side with his father and make amends with everybody. Because he wants to get back at both his father and his former sensei, he teaches the dojo everything he knows from Miyagi-Do. He also remembers and tells the dojo that Daniel still thinks he's better than Cobra Kai, further motivating them to train hard for the All Valley. When Terry has a one-on-one lesson with Robby, he realizes that he can channel his anger how Kreese taught him to, but is still afraid of something. Thanks to his speech, Robby goes and confronts this fear, shedding his weakness so to speak, to move forward and to progress down the wrong path. It's also Silver's lesson about holding on to the anger to use it when the time is right that gives him the idea to get payback on Hawk, taking out one of Miyagi-Fang's best chances at winning the tournament. Once we hit the episode Kicks Get Chicks, we can slowly see his hairstyle change from how it was parted or slicked back to that of a younger Kreese, proving that Cobra Kai's influence has fully corrupted him. Robby takes the lesson of throwing his opponents off balance to heart, not only by showing up to prom with Tori and dancing to get their attention, but also getting into Miguel's head that his father doesn't care about him. We can also see Kreese's influence weigh heavily on Robby when he uses a chokehold on Miguel, ironically the same technique Johnny taught him back in Season 1. During the tournament, notably in the skills division, Robby begins to use the same kiosk that Silver uses when he fights. This is also seen in his matches, whether they're the qualifying matches, the quarterfinals, semifinals, or his final match. Robby also turns into a younger version of Kreese once Kreese tells him that he is fighting his opponent and not his friend. Appropriately, the song played during the background is called Mecha Robby and even calls back to a motif heard in Miyagi Rattles Bones from the Karate Kid soundtrack, noting that Robby has fully embraced the ruthlessness of Cobra Kai. It's also clear that his influence is playing out similar to how Cobra Kai corrupted both his father and Daniel. Like his father, Robby is Cobra Kai's top student. Until Silver is called in as a co-sensei, Robby leads class just like his father led the Cobra class of '84. Because he had no mentor or father figure, both generations look up to and find both a sensei and father figure in John Kreese. Robby makes it to the finals like his father did in the '84 tournament against the Miyagi-Do pupil, even using the same strike against his rival, mirroring the actions of his father. History repeats itself when Robby loses to Eli, coming in second place. I'd also like to point out that following the after-party fight, Robby and Tori echo Shannon and Johnny's relationship, with Robby wearing a black shirt like his father did at the Christmas party and also driving a red convertible with the top down, while Tori wears a dress similar to Shannon's when she is seen dating in Season 1. Because of the strained relationship with his former Miyagi-Do sensei, Robby joins Cobra Kai and trains under Terry Silver, just like Daniel did. Terry also treats both of these pupils the same for the most part, showing a friendly facade and even offers to show a few moves, though he is notably more aggressive with Robby. Robby also learns some elements of the Quicksilver method and is slowly corrupted by Silver, much like Daniel was back in 1985. Robby develops the same killer instinct and finishes a fight by striking his opponent in the nose, echoing the actions of Daniel at the dance club. Let's look at what exactly led to Robby's redemption arc, or at least the start of it. One of the factors is Kenny, the new recruit who was advised to seek him out by his brother, Sean. The relationship of student and sensei has obviously been explored many times throughout the series, but Kenny and Robby's relationship presents in a way we haven't seen before outside of teacher and student, big brother and little brother. When Kenny shows up and attempts to try out the first time and fails, despite being annoyed, Robby is the only student who doesn't laugh at him. Sam's statement of Robby being a good person is true. Robby feels sympathy towards Kenny, going out of his way to return his backpack and offering to teach him self-defense. He also shows something that Kreese didn't show him and what he learned from Miyagi-Do: patience, going so far as to make sure his stance is correct, to not show fear, and telling him to use his asset of speed to attack. Because he has confidence in Kenny, he advises Kreese to give him another shot. Even when Tori teases that Kenny came back, Robby still doesn't laugh or say anything derogatory towards him. And bicephally, Robby also even goes as far to try to prevent karate from corrupting Kenny, dismissing his desire for Robby to beat up Hawk and to not let Kenny get ahead of himself, once again using what he learned from Miyagi-Do. Robby also shows that he is protective of Kenny, making sure that Kyler doesn't mess with his head too much and coming to his defense when he thinks Kenny is about to be bullied. While he understands his frustration with the bullies, Robby knows that Kenny could go down the wrong path if he's not careful, advising him to learn from both his and Sean's mistakes. Even though it's an exercise during class, Robby shows concern for his pupil, which Kenny takes advantage of and exploits as a weakness. Before their match, Robby tells Kenny how proud he is of him and that his brother would be impressed, with Kenny responding that he owes it all to him. We also see him clearly proud of Kenny when congratulating him after a match during the qualifiers and before the quarterfinals start. We can clearly see that Robby regrets what he did during the match and thought he took it too far, running after Kenny to make sure he's okay. We can also see that he's so distraught that he almost forgets to bow until the referee reminds him to. Robby also realizes he's created a monster when Kenny is beating up Anthony and fully embracing the Cobra Kai principles. It's also Kenny cheering him on to beat up Eli, which causes him to be thrown off balance and seeing parts of himself he doesn't like. The second factor is Daniel, his former sensei, who contributes to this arc on 2 occasions, at the convenience store and at the tournament. While Robby still wants nothing to do with Daniel, as the last time that we've seen them interact is at the end of Season 3, it's the similar experience they share of having Terry Silver as a sensei that Daniel is able to break through to Robby. What Daniel says to Robby is all true. Terry pops up out of nowhere, seeming nice enough to teach a few moves, and pushes Robby past his limit, confronting his father about how he is better than him. Daniel warns him about the future, and which is what plays out at the end of the season. Robby is no longer himself, has the blood of Kenny on his gi, and wants to change course. Ironically, Daniel is also chipping away at Robby, though in a positive manner, contrary to Terry chipping away at Robby in a negative manner. And while Robby doesn't let on if what Daniel says messes with his head, he knows Daniel is telling the truth. The reason we know this is that if we look back at the Season 2 episode Take or Right, Robby was still in Miyagi-Do and was there when Daniel recounted his time in Cobra Kai. Robby realizes that it was Silver who he was talking about back then. Daniel was weak and was trained in the principles of Cobra Kai. Robby knows he didn't train under Kreese because we can establish at this point Robby has a fairly decent relationship with his sensei, and if Daniel had trained under Kreese, Kreese would have made this known to Robby, and also remembers Daniel telling the class that it changed who he was. When Daniel confronts Robby again at the tournament, Robby tells him that he will do whatever it takes to win, whether that's using Cobra Kai, Miyagi-Do, or both. As mentioned before, Daniel tells him one last secret: never put passion before principle, because even if you win, you lose. This time, Robby's look on his face tells us that it got to him. And Daniel is right. When Kreese tells him Robby that he's fighting his opponent, Robby uses all of the anger within himself, the passion, and puts it before the principles of who he is and what his relationship is with Kenny. Although he won the match, he still lost. Kenny is upset at losing to Robby, is physically hurt, and is also now corrupted. This all echoes back to what Daniel said, that he wouldn't recognize who he was anymore, and we can clearly see that after his quarterfinal match. The third factor is Johnny, his father. Although the first interaction we see them between is less than civil, Johnny tries to warn Robby about Cobra Kai and how Kreese can brainwash people. Robby also tells Johnny that he's afraid he would end up like his father, and despite thinking he can use Cobra Kai how he wants, this ends up being true. It is Johnny, thanks to finding out from Shannon, that he goes to try and stop Silver and Kreese from sending Robby down the same path. Johnny still clearly cares about his son, as Miguel finds out while his sensei is drunk. Even during the qualifying matches, Johnny can't help but to look and also clap for his son, despite him fighting for Cobra Kai. He also shows his concern after Kreese coaches Robby during his fight with Kenny, and after the match is over, knowing his son is going down the same path. Even though Cobra Kai won, Robby now knows he is the same as his father, as they share a look after the tournament. This is also addressed during the prom, as he understands Tori's desire in wanting to be a champion. He wants to be one as well, so he can be better than how his father turned out, and do the one thing that he couldn't do, beat Miyagi-Do. In what I consider one of the best symbolic moments of the finale in the season, Robby and Johnny talk in the Cobra Kai dojo, as after losing, the only thing they have left to hold on to are the Cobra Kai principles. Strike first, strike hard, no mercy. Johnny knows exactly how Robby feels after the match and tells him to not let it eat him up. The father and the son are one and the same, as they both lost a tournament as a top student of Cobra Kai, and Robby fears that nothing will get better. Robby failed Kenny because he tried so hard to be the mentor he needed when he was younger, and Johnny failed Miguel for the same reason. Johnny also understands what his son means using Cobra Kai for hate because he was twisted in the same way. He also accepts responsibility for what happened to Robby and getting in the way of his relationship with Daniel. For the first time, Johnny steps up as Robby's father and gave his son what he needed the most: love. Outside of these factors, Robby's arc is slowly hinted at throughout multiple points during the season. One of the more symbolic examples is that despite being Cobra Kai, he wears a very similar outfit to prom to what Daniel wore at the end of Karate Kid Part 2, though having a black undershirt instead of a white one. Despite going to the prom to throw his rival off balance and bumping into him on purpose, at the after party, Robby doesn't attempt to strike or bully Miguel in any way. He also only intervenes in the fight when he perceives Tori being hurt by Miguel. During the qualifiers, when they exchange glances, Robby also gives a quick nod to Miguel out of respect. We also see more of this when Robby and Eli bow to each other before the sudden death overtime begins. What's also very symbolic is that Robby's gi starts to fall off before the timer expires, symbolizing that he is no longer Cobra Kai at his core. This would also go to prove what Daniel said in Season 2. Just because someone is Cobra Kai doesn't mean they can't change. Despite his feelings towards Sam throughout the season, he claps in a show of respect when she lands an impressive second point. Here are my final thoughts on Robby and what we can see from him in the future. Despite having Cobra Kai influences on him in some ways, Robby was right about one thing. He did know the obvious tropes of both Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai. Unlike what happened to someone like Hawk, Cobra Kai did not make him a bully in the sense that he would beat someone up or jump someone to steal charity money. He instead used it for his own reasons and to help out someone who needed it. This also makes him closer to Daniel, Johnny, and even Miyagi more than he realizes. All three of them became senseis when someone needed their help and sought them out to teach them karate. Despite everything that happened in the past, Robby still held on to the roots of Miyagi-Do and did things his way, even when it came to teaching Kenny. Like I mentioned before in the previous video, Robby had a right to be angry with a lot of people that had let him down. Johnny, Daniel, and Shannon. There was no one else to turn to but Kreese and Silver. However, in an ironic twist of fate, his quote in Season 2, "They won't change, you can't change the way you feel," now has a double meaning. Robby couldn't change who he was by turning to Cobra Kai because of his strong roots in Miyagi-Do and is now coming back to the right path. I think though that instead of coming back to Miyagi-Do, Robby will go to the one place he hasn't trained under just yet, Eagle Fang. In Season 5, I predict Robby will accompany Johnny to Mexico to find Miguel. This would make sense as from photos that are floating out there that are from the Season 5 shoot, Tanner is wearing a cowboy hat and is seen near a stall of piñatas, which would mean he has been in Puerto Rico shooting with William and Sholo. I think that it will finally come to Johnny being there for both Miguel and Robby, and possibly one final fight will settle their rivalry, with Robby coming out on top saying, "It's over, we have no more reason to fight." There is the possibility that Robby could be left behind, but this wouldn't be a smart move, as Silver would easily retaliate against Robby for not only losing his match, but for also disrespecting him during the finals. Whether he likes it or not, Robby isn't much different from his father, and the one advantage he does have is that he can fix his mistakes now before it gets any worse. Speaking of fixing mistakes, you're not using an unsecured connection, right? The last thing you need is an invasion on your privacy. Click on the link in the description to get a NordVPN 2-year plan with a huge discount. Here's why you need to secure yourself with NordVPN. You can use it to unlock Netflix and your favorite entertainment websites that are not available here in the US. You can connect up to 6 devices at the same time with one account. There is no data logging whatsoever, and it works even in China. If you're out and about and using public Wi-Fi networks in places such as coffee shops and airports, NordVPN will protect you with double data encryption for increased anonymity. There is no shame in striking when the time is right, especially if you have to wait in the shadows to do so. NordVPN works with Windows, macOS, Linux, iOS, and Android, has a Chrome extension which is very user-friendly, and unlimited bandwidth. If you're not happy with it for any reason, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. NordVPN was a 7-time champion in 2021. Winning the Business Choice, Reader's Choice, and Best Tech Product of 2021 from PC Mag, Best Android VPN from Android Central, the Best All-Around VPN from Expert Reviews, Best VPN Service from Forbes Advisor, and App Development Team of the Year from App Promotion Summit. It's also the only VPN to get all the green checks on PC Mag. So what are you waiting for? Use the link in the description and get yourself secured with NordVPN. Shout out to NordVPN for giving me the opportunity to be an affiliate. Let me know what you guys think down below. What was your favorite part of Robby's character arc? If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like it, subscribe, share it with your friends, and comment, as these all help my channel grow. If you guys can, be sure to check out and subscribe to my second gaming channel. I'm trying to get this channel partnered as well, and supporting this channel also helps support the main channel. Shout out to my Twitch subscribers and YouTube members, I appreciate the support. If you'd like to directly support the channel, consider becoming a member and enjoy perks such as behind the scenes updates, access to the VIP Discord, shoutouts and videos, and more. Thanks for watching, stay beautiful, stay awesome, we'll catch you around next time.